Russia steps up its bombardment in Ukraine. America's top diplomat touring the neighboring countries of Ukraine on a stop in Moldova, praising the country for taking in scores of refugees.
We admire the generosity, the hospitality, the willingness to be such good friends to people who are in distress.
And visiting a Polish welcome center where some 3,000 refugees are taking shelter.
We are taking action together to support Ukrainians and to punish Russia for what it is doing.
In just 1 week since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, more than 1.5 million people have fled the country, according to the UN. More than half of those refugees entering neighboring Poland. All day we have seen a steady stream of families coming here, go into the tent, and then they go on into Poland. The president said that these refugees will be welcomed here in this country with open arms. We traveled to the Polish countryside and met Maxim Harbus, using his wedding venue to house more than 40 refugees.
For now, it's like 21 families. If we will don't do that, then where these families will go?
And as refugees pour out, more humanitarian relief groups are heading in. Samaritan's Purse airlifting an emergency field hospital for setup inside Ukraine in the coming days.
Here in Ukraine, we know that there's a surgical need and a trauma need. We have doctors and nurses that come all over the world that want to love their neighbor and to serve those that are hurting.
Marcus Moore in Poland, thank you for that report. I am joined now by former U.S. Ambassador to NATO, former Texas Senator Kay Bailey Hutchinson. She is joining us for her perspective on what is going on in our world. Thank you in advance for your time, Ambassador. You wrote in a recent op-ed style piece that the U.S. and allies should be doing more to support Ukraine. So as for military support, we'll start there. What do you think Ukraine needs that it is not getting now?
Well, every indication is that we are trying to get in the missiles that they need, the Stingers, the ones that can shoot down airplanes or helicopters, and the ones that can shoot on the ground. We need to do that. But most of all, what we don't seem to be addressing yet, and I think it's urgent, is the energy issue. We should be banning imports from Russia, oil and gas, period. We should not be importing from Russia, neither should our allies at a point in time like this. Secondly, though, we need to ramp up our own production so we can provide more liquefied natural gas to our European allies so they will not have to rely on Russia for their energy needs. And we need to open up the capabilities that we already have in place that can be quickly put online, and that is the production of oil as well as natural gas. We can do more, and this is the one leverage that we have right now that we need to use.
Ambassador, I want to ask you a few follow-up questions about what you just said about energy, because from the other point of view, Americans are close to paying record high prices at the pump already. Some people saying national average is going to be $4.25 by Tuesday. So what can the Biden administration really do, especially with the context that inflation's already at a 40-year high?
All of us are dealing with the surprise at the pump. Every time I go to fill up my car, it is higher, like by 20 or 30 cents, and then now it's just exponential. So I think what we need to do is open our own resources. We have been energy sufficient, and we've had excess to be able to export. We need to do all of those things. We need to export to our allies. We need to stop taking Russian oil and gas right now, and we need to help our allies get away from Russia as well. And we can do it now. We have the production capabilities in place. We have it in Alaska, we have it in Texas, we have it in Pennsylvania, we have it in West Virginia. We can do this without having to raise the price at the pump if we are producing ourselves. We should stop taking Russian oil and gas. We should produce it ourselves so that our prices are not sky high. We should open up the Keystone XL pipeline. That will take a while, but we can do more right now. We need to show Putin that we are going to be self-sufficient and he cannot do what he's doing, and think that it's going to continue. We're going to continue to do business with him.
So speaking of showing Putin that we mean business, do you think that the sanctions that we have put so far on him, on Russia, are any kind of deterrent? Are they factoring in any decision or calculation that he's making? Or is it just easy for him to say, I don't really care?
Well, I think we see that he is doubling down. There's no question. When you are targeting civilians in a country that has done nothing to Russia, you know that he's committing war crimes right now. So what we have to do, and the leverage that we have, is to cripple his economy. We are not fighting the Russian people. I just can't stand having them have to suffer like this. But the only thing we can do to stop this warmonger that is running Russia right now, we have. And if we can I think our European allies have really come through with so many of the sanctions that are making a difference. And we should be together on this. But I think America can lead in stopping any imports of Russian oil and gas and instead provide the excess that we have to our European allies. That is the answer right now.
Ambassador, I hear you loud and clear. It is all. For another perspective, we are bringing in right now Jaime Nadal, United Nations Population Fund's representative to Ukraine. Thank you so much, Jaime, for being with us. You are there on the ground. What does the world need to know about what is going on that may not be fully captured?
Thank you. Yeah, the situation is dramatic on the ground. We have verified already that the number of hospitals and health centers have been targeted and have been attacked. Doctors and looking after their patients in the basements of hospitals. I can give you an example, for instance, in the area of women's health and reproductive health, that is the area of work of UNFPA, the United Nations Population Fund, that only on Saturday night in the city, these are basements, metro stations, etc., lacking any kind, in most of the cases, of qualified attendance during birth, during the delivery. This is a situation that poses their lives at risk, as well as the lives of their babies. Is absolutely horrendous.
And obviously, this limits a woman's ability to choose to go to a different country if she would like to, obviously with a newborn in tow. I want to ask you about the fact that many families are making the decision or being forced to part ways. That is to say, the men staying to fight and women and children, in theory, going to safer ground. What do we need to know about what this opens up? Concerns, I'm thinking about potential exploitation or abuse or trafficking. Is the population very vulnerable to all of that now?
Women are extremely vulnerable, and I think you put it very, very accurately. Just refugees are women and children. The vast majority of refugees are women and children, and older persons as well. In the process of moving towards the border, these women are particularly exposed to trafficking, but also to sexual and gender-based violence. And this is something that we, from the United Nations Population Fund, we are trying to provide support to these women. We have activated our networks that provide psychosocial support services and are working with those women on the move in order to make sure that they get any kind of psychosocial support services that they need in the process.
Jaime, thank you so much, and thank you for your work, extremely important work there on the ground. Jaime Nadal joining us there.